14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
Welcome into episode 99 of Hometown Threads. Cool. Matt, we got to get confetti next week for 100. Wow, episode 100 is next week already. Oh my goodness. Episode 99 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Of course, you can watch it on Spectrum 192 as well. You could view the show on plenty of platforms, but you can only listen to it in one place on WILI. Again, 1400 AM, 95.3 FM. Let's just go with the 95.3 FM because that's a lot of 95.3 FM is the stronger signal of the two, but we still say 14 WILI 95.3.
Can't quit it.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you can, of course, Hometown Threads is every Tuesday, 5:05 to 5:30. Brought to you by Liberty Bank. Be community kind. With three great local locations, of course, across the street from the station at 679 Main Street, Willimantic. Down the street, West Main Street and Gateway Commons, managed by my wife, Marianne, it's West Main Street, yes, at Gateway Commons. And then Route 195, Mansfield, Liberty Bank, be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you'd be so kind, say hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
And, of course, big thanks to Mark Tripoli at Tripoli Pro Clean Services, where you could, he sponsors the podcast of Hometown Threads, which you can listen at WILI.com. So here we go with episode 99. It's a pleasure to welcome in. We were supposed to do this show a couple weeks ago, but somebody got sick. Frances McGrath from Reframe, a dry spot at 24 North Street, Willimantic. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Great to have you in here, and you have a tremendous story to tell, and I can't wait to learn more, I should say. I've already been learning about it. It is, I want to say, still probably one of the best hidden gems in this town.
Thank you.
We'll get into the backstory of Frances, but tell us a little about how long has Reframe been open?
We are, it's been about a year. Oh no, over a year. I launched on Leap Day last year, mostly because I just really wanted to open on Leap Day. I definitely wasn't ready and didn't have everything, but I felt like I was taking such a leap by opening that it felt so symbolic and just do it. I love that. So that's kind of our anniversary. But then we did a ribbon cutting in May, and that was also kind of our opening too. So it's been a year, just working out the kinks, stuff like that. But yeah, it's been great.
Well, for somebody who's open just a little over a year, I think you're off to a tremendous start.
Absolutely.
Based on all the events, and we'll get into a lot. And they have a plethora of multiple events throughout the week. Usually later in the week, we'll get into all that. But for someone who just opened, as I just said, a little over a year ago, you got to admit you're off to a pretty good start.
Oh, I'm very happy with my numbers.
Yeah, so you had two. You had the Leap opening, and then you had the ribbon cutting. That must be kind of exciting stuff. I love talking to people who are somewhat new business owners like yourself. You got to wake up every day, and it's got to be. I know it's inspiring for me to hear, especially a young business owner like yourself, to wake up every day going, "Wow, I own my own business." That's got to be kind of cool, huh?
So it's funny. We are completely rearranging the space right now, and with one of my old friends from Wyndham Middle School, who has a background in hospitality, and he was like, "This is how I think this space could function better," and he just loves saying, well, you can do whatever you want. It's your business. And I'm like, okay, I love that. It is true. It is true. But also it's been a really amazing experience, both in figuring out what I don't know how to do, what I can learn how to do, and what I also should ask for help doing. And that's been a really big lesson. And what's been amazing is that I think enough people believe in the goal and the mission of Reframe that they're willing to donate a lot of time and skills and things like that with no expectation of anything in return, which has been really, really wonderful. And it's made me feel really great about the decision to open Reframe, specifically in Willimantic.
And we'll get into the whole meaning, just in case there's some of you are tuning in who have no idea what Reframe is. We'll get into the whole backstory about it. But you do other stuff besides run your own business, Frances McGrath. You are a librarian at...
I am the school library media specialist at W.B. Sweeney Elementary.
Sweeney, it's been around for years.
And I spend 2 days a week at the Wyndham Free Library on the Green because I just couldn't say no to that place because that's where I grew up and that's why I love reading is that library and that's why I wanted to be a librarian.
Which library on the Green again?
The Wyndham Center, Wyndham Free.
Right. That's like walking distance.
Yeah.
I got it. You know what? It's so weird they could bring that up. I love living in Wyndham Center.
Yep.
I'm a native of around here. I grew up in Lebanon, pretty much born and raised in going to the Wyndham schools and all that. But now I've been living in Wyndham Center for about 7-8 years, and it's so quaint. It's so.
It's a great community.
It is a perfect, like, you know, I see the intersection with the church and of course the library and that little green. It's so New England. But anyway, I got to check out that library. So what I would do
is I went to Wyndham Center and I would walk home from school and stop in the library and just hang out there for a long time and then find my way home. And I would take books home and sit in the hammock and read, or I would just flip through the picture books and just read all afternoon.
It's great.
And that's how and because of the walkability and the closeness of the community was how that was all possible.
And good for you. There's a lot of reading that takes place at Reframe. We'll get into that. But let's go back even further now. You grew up like myself and like J. Matt Rupar. We grew up around here. Tell us about growing up and where you went to school and all that.
So I grew up in Wyndham Center, in that big old white house on the hill that is just an amazing place to get lost in. And I went to Wyndham Center and I went to Wyndham Middle School and then I went away for high school and college. But I definitely did that thing where I was like, I'll never go back. And then when I ended up back here in 2019, I was like, wait a second, Willimantic's actually like pretty cool. And I'm so pumped that I came back here and discovered that, because there's so many populations that I didn't get to know when I was a middle schooler, which, you know, was fair because they weren't my age, but like it's been really cool to just re-engage with the community and find old friends and new friends, and that's what's been amazing.
You are not alone when you say that, because I did the same thing for years. I moved away when I was young. I'm like, I want to do everything. I want to get on my own. See you later, Willimantic, Wyndham. Yeah, it's been fun. But deep down inside, I always knew I had that unfinished feeling. I had a feeling of unfinished business, and like you said, I think I don't want to say I didn't like growing up around here. I just think when you're younger and you have you just your mindset's different.
Yeah.
And then as you get older, you think, geez, you start to appreciate, and you think back like, oh man, I'm so proud of where I'm from. And wow, so we share that.
Yep.
That feeling, no doubt about it. Okay, so then where did you go? You said you went away. Where did you go again?
I went to Westminster School in Simsbury, Connecticut for high school, and then I graduated from Hampshire College in Amherst, Mass, doing a lot of creative writing and reading, and I worked at an ice cream store for a while, which is why I feel qualified to start my own business, because I worked at Harold's Ice Cream for like 8 years. And then I was in Cambridge for a little while, and then ended up in Florida.
Florida. Everyone has to take a trip through Florida, it seems like.
And then they all say, wow, I need to go home where there are seasons and cold weather and normal people.
And what part of Florida?
Fort Lauderdale.
I've flown in there plenty of times. I'm going back down there in a couple weeks, actually Fort Myers, but we flew into Fort Lauderdale plenty of times.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many years were you in Florida? 2.
Okay,
now 2. I'm good. Let's come back up north.
Yep.
All right, so now, when did the idea of the business when did it pop into your head? Like, tell us a little how Reframe a Dry Spot came about.
So I love telling the story that one night, it was fall of 2019, and I was my sober date is Labor Day weekend of 2019, and it was maybe November, and my parents went out. I was living with my parents while I figured out what I was doing next, and I was like, man, I want to go out so badly. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do it. So I got dressed up, I put like a fancy sequin top on, and I went to Willy Brew because I love Willy Brew. Love hanging out there, feel safe there, right? And I walked in the door, and I walked through it, and I walked through it, and I walked through it, and I walked right back out. And I was like, nope, it's not gonna happen. Because I just knew it smelled like beer. Like, it's an amazing place, but it could not be what I needed it to be yet. And it's been really nice to be able to go back now that they have athletics and a whole menu.
That's right.
And they have people there that I trust. I love going to like Trigo and Willy Brew, where I know the bartenders, and they know that if I said, can I have a glass of wine, they'd be like, Frano, go home. So that's why I feel safe at those places. That's the kind of community. Frano. I've been Frano for a long time because I turned my C's into O's when I learned to write my name. Yeah. So then I was like, okay, all I want to do is be out of the house. Being cooped in, and this is pre-COVID, being cooped in and feeling like I can't go anywhere is not doing my sobriety any favors. All I feel is that I'm missing out, and life sucks, and I don't want to do this anymore. So maybe I should just drink and go out again. And then I was like, no, that's not the answer. So things were kind of percolating in my mind about that. I wanted there to be some place to go for people that felt safe. And it's funny because now people say like, oh, but there's so many places with mocktails on the menu. And I'm like, yes, I love that. That's amazing. But there's something that still can be scary about being there. Like one time, actually, maybe 2 years ago, I was at Trigo and I love that spritz that Lee makes me. And then someone poured a glass of wine and I was like, oh my God, I have to leave. And that can still happen and it can be really scary.
That was my next question. You still get triggered every now and then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's one, but think about it. It's, you're going on your 6th year. You're going on your 6 years. You did a great job. But, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that get triggered. So that night you had to leave. You saw the glass of wine and then...
And then I was just like, I want a place where I can have anything on the shelf. And so that's what's funny when people walk into Reframe and they say, well, what do you recommend? And I think they think I'm BSing them when I say, like, all of it. Because I love that I can decide I'm in the mood for a glass of wine, I'm in the mood for a Negroni, I'm in the mood for a beer. Like, I can have whatever I want. The fact that I can drink anything in that shop makes me so happy.
And I got to say, Art and myself, Art and I went over there a few weeks ago to get introduced to Reframe. We sat down, talked with Frano, am I allowed to call you Frano?
Yes.
Frano, right? Is that what I'm saying? And she not only told us a little about kind of like what she's sharing with you now, but she goes, I got something for you to try. And she brought Athletic, it's called Athletic, right?
Athletic Brewing.
Brewing non-alcoholic beer. And I like IPAs. This tasted better than an IPA.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable. So I quickly shopped local and I picked up a 6-pack. And you're absolutely right. What a great idea to put stuff on the shelf, and you're out in the public eye. You can still enjoy what you're doing. You got books all around you, and you can still you have so many events going on. So you open your doors. You got the business rolling. When did it start to build as far as getting the public involved with events and all that? That must have took a little time, right?
Yeah, I think over the summer. So, honestly, Candace was huge.
Hello, Candace and Dave.
She's been a huge supporter of Reframe, and she said over the summer, she's like, I want to do lead some paint and sips at Reframe. And I was like, absolutely, that would be amazing. And that really took off. And when I would look back at the numbers, those were the best nights of the summer. And so I was like, okay, I have to really, the paint and sips, so I have to really commit to it. And I love the concept of Silent Book Club, which is where you bring whatever you're reading and you sit and you read, and it's kind of like focused time that is dedicated to reading, which we all need.
Before we get back to the reading, go back to the paint and sips. Is there anything else we need to know about what exactly takes place at a paint and sip?
Paint and sips are really awesome, and they are led by different artists. Sometimes it's Candace. This weekend, it's someone with the Phoenix, which is cool. The Phoenix is a nationwide organization that has all sorts of events for people in recovery, and so I've gotten connected with them, and they're leading a paint and sip on Saturday night, which I think will be awesome. That already has like 10 people signed up.
Saturday night at 6, right?
Saturday night at 6.
This Saturday night.
So that's the only thing that costs money is the paint and sip, because I like to pay for the artists who come and then pay for the canvases and the supplies. So the paint and sips are $20. Everything else is free.
Wow.
Because 10 goes to the artist and 10 goes back to, Michael's for the canvases. But everything else, So we're doing that with the Phoenix on Saturday. I'm trying something new this week. I'm having a singles night because people have been asking, and I think it's a really cool thought to have a place where you could meet someone and feel completely safe that at no point is anyone going to have too much to drink and make decisions that they don't want to make. Everyone will feel safe in that space, and so I'm really curious to see how that goes, and I'm just it's the first one. I feel like the whole thing is just such a learning experience.
And that's this Friday night?
This Friday night.
The first, are we calling it singles night?
So far.
So far,
okay.
Okay.
You could get a rebrand, I don't know.
Could get a rebrand. Now, when people, so singles night this Friday, and then of course the paint and sip on Saturday night at 6. We'll get into some other events as well. I know you mentioned silent reading and all that, and there's tons of books there. What if somebody, say, walks in with a coffee? Are they allowed to bring another? I know you want them to buy beverages there, but say somebody wants to come in and they enjoy the vibe you got there. Are they allowed to do that? Or
they are encouraged to bring food in.
Oh, they are? Okay,
yes.
Can bring food in.
I can't compete. I don't want to compete with, I'm next to Garibaldi's. I got Trigo 3 doors down, and I got Harp across the parking lot. Why would I even try? Because those 3 places are amazing. So that's where I eat all my food from. So I encourage people to bring their food. I'm working on getting coffee. Craftsman Cliff is that really cool roaster in Norwich, and he's got cold brew in cans. So my goal for the summer is to get that in the store because people want coffee, and I get that. But I can't make my own beverages. So if you want a coffee, you have to bring your own. Yes, and that's okay because you're right. The point is that it's a space for you to feel safe.
Exactly.
And that's fine.
And people could bring their own books. I know you got tons of reading material there, right?
Yep. I've got books and I've got craft materials, so you can sit and paint by yourself, or you can read, or you can collage. That's really fun. We made vision boards over New Year's Eve. That was really fun.
People can come in and just play on their phones if they want.
If they want to, but I'm trying to like push the analog like time. But yeah.
So we're talking with Francis, aka Frano McGrath from Reframe, a dry spot, 24 North Street, Willimantic, on this episode 99 of Hometown Threads on WILI, Willimantic Today, and Spectrum 192. Brought to you by Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind. Now, well, you probably know this off the top of your head. How many would you say roughly does Reframe seat, I should say, proper English there. What's the capacity, there we go, of Reframe?
Well, it's funny that you asked that, because the whole intention of the rearrangement is to provide more seating. So I honestly don't know. I'll have to get back to you once.
I was just curious, but
like 15, 20.
Okay.
Like I like that it's a small space, because
that's the whole point of it.
Yeah,
pretty
it's
much
intimate, right? It's cozy and comfortable.
Because I saw a picture on, I believe it's the Instagram, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, at Reframe Dry Spot on Instagram, at reframedryspot.com, right?
Yep.
I saw a picture the other day of the paint and sip this past weekend. It was packed. So I think so. You said, as you said, by far, that's your best event. But these other ones are building, right? Like tell us about the reading ones and the writing ones, or.
Yeah, the writing group is actually doing better than I thought, which was amazing. I've got some connections through like Horizons and Eastern and Best Buddies, and they're all kind of meeting together at Reframe, which is amazing. And then it's also with the Phoenix, so some Phoenix people have been coming up for that. That's been really great. And book club, it will grow because I'm a librarian and I'm determined. And then Friday is just arts. So we do a sip and stitch or a paint and sip or something like that, so that you have an opportunity to create, because I love to create. I have to write through everything I'm feeling. So. Well,
I get a sense of tremendous creativity here. Do you yourself, I know you're running the place, when there's a paint and sip going on, or do you get involved with this, or do you just pretty much oversee everything going on, or somebody's got a place? I mean, do you have a staff? No, not yet. Right? No,
not yet. It's losing money. I can't pay anyone.
Not yet.
Not yet.
It's coming.
Yep. No, it's been fun. I've been just behind the bar and letting other people run the events, which has been great. Like someone who basically started a writing group with me runs the open mics, and so she'll go down there and she'll say, okay, who's up next, and blah blah blah, because I wouldn't do that. But then every time they have an open mic and I go down there, and I just am like, this is why I created this space. It makes me so happy to have it be filled with these people who are, writing through their own recovery and figuring themselves out, and it's amazing. So I hang out behind the bar and facilitate.
That's so cool that you get to know their story as well. And I'm kind of glad you said that you're letting these other people, like a Candace or other people. By the way, if you ever need a volunteer on like open mic, I just
always.
If you're in a pinch, let me know.
All right.
But if you don't mind, share some of the stories that you've learned from other people that have just come in, and it's got to be, they must be inspired by you as you are by them. If there's any ones off the top of your head that you want to,
So it's funny because there's a few stories. So one is it was a pretty quiet afternoon, and then this woman came in actually for book club, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, let's talk about the book. And then this guy came in, and we just ended up sitting at the bar, and I just gotten some new drinks, so we taste tested stuff and we talked, and it was like a 3-hour long conversation. And I just think back about how that is the most random gathering of people, and that those two people have been huge fans and like supporters of Reframe. And I always tell that story of just, you brought the three of us together, we're talking all about like how we met people and how we like why we're making the choices we are and all this. It was just so cool. And then another time, this couple came from Glastonbury, which was cool. And
now they knew about you?
They knew about me. Because there's only me, and then there's one place in Naugatuck, and she's great too, but we're just so far away, which is great.
Yeah. Naugatuck's a hike.
Yeah, and this couple and we were talking for a long time, and then finally, like at the end, he was like, yeah, and he like admitted to being sober at the very end, and it was really interesting that it is the more that I share, the more people are willing to share with me, which is why I feel like I have to come out and do things like this and be like, yeah, it's like not a failure. It's just a thing that I honestly is maybe a better, stronger person. So
I'm not trying to get dramatic when I say this, but you're actually saving lives probably too. Has that ever crossed your mind? You are. Technically, you are. I mean, you think about it. These people are going through kind of what you went through.
Yeah.
And they know that you're there and your space is there. So if you look at the big picture.
Well, that's why I say I did it in Willimantic, because I think all about how we're working to rebrand ourselves as a community for recovery. We've got the Ridge, we had Perceptions, but Natchog has been huge in my life. But if I had to get sober in a halfway house, I don't think I would have been able to do it. It sounds so challenging. And I just think about that feeling of being trapped and that you're stuck and you can't go out and you have to just be here and you don't know what to do. So that's why I have like Hosmers, and just if you need just a place to go to get out of the place where you are, then you could just come hang out and have a shelter and just chill, because that I think is the other part of the equation.
I don't mean to get all spiritual, did I say that right, on you for a second, but think about it. I mean, God puts ideas, Reframe, puts people, these people that have come in and shared their stories. Yeah, he does this for a reason. So I truly believe that, and I'm just so inspired learning more and more about you and Reframe, a dry spot. In the last couple minutes, a couple questions I want to ask you. First of all, I don't know if I just want to backtrack. How did you come across where you are now, 24 North Street? When you had the idea of the business, how you want to, okay, I know what I want to do. How did that whole process come about?
This is a good story, actually. I got some money from my grandmother's inheritance, and I was like, I want to do something cool with it. And I was thinking about this, and then I was thinking about it, and I had some ideas, and then I went and talked to Angie at Yono. It was right? Angie. And I said, I think I want to do this. And she was like, yeah, go look across because she had been in that same space before she moved across to Church Street. She was like, it's a great space. There's cool lights. And I walked over and it was available, and I texted Rich, and that's honestly, and because it's Willimantic, I can afford to like put us through the growth period, because everything, we all want each other to succeed, and Angie was like, that's a great spot for you, and it's been perfect. So it's another, like, everything came together perfectly. Yeah,
everything happens for a reason. And
yep.
This question, and then one more other quick one. You wanted to, and I know we've probably maybe already touched on it before, but you really wanted to hammer home the fact about the space itself, right?
Yeah, a lot of people really thought that I should be a pop-up first. That's kind of a big move in non-alcoholic stuff, is like, be a pop-up. But I think it's so important to have a space to go in and sit down and be outside of your house and just hang out. And I think a pop-up is a really great thing, but it doesn't provide that space, that literal chair for you to sit in, and like the door to walk through that isn't your house. That's just feels different and special.
Great place to just get away too.
Yeah.
And my final question, I'd like to know, I'm sure you have a laundry list of people you'd like to thank or shout out to or show love to that have helped you along this journey for you. Francis Frano McGrath.
Candace, Angela at Liberty, huge. My parents, definitely. The people at like the Chronicle, and you guys, people willing to put Reframe out there, and just, I feel like people just need to learn about it right now, and we're at that stage, and that's been huge. Even Wayne, I did some interviews with Wayne
big
over
guy.
the years.
Right,
oh yeah. So I think honestly, Angie, as I said, Sydney Clements, big fan, big supporter, love her. She's a diehard Willimantic person too.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's great to be around people who want the community to succeed.
And I don't think I asked you this. Where did the name Reframe come from?
So that, I think, is my mom, actually, because she hates the word sober. Because she's like, it sounds boring and cold, which is true. If you say something is sober, you're saying that it's dark and quiet and boring and lonely. And she's like, that's not you, that's not this. So she's like, we gotta like reframe what it means to be sober. And I was like, wait a second, I think that's it.
You just said it.
That's it.
Not refrain, reframe. Reframe.
Yes. Reframe what it means to celebrate, reframe what it means to go out, reframe what you're doing, just reframe your drinking in terms of, what's in your glass.
You are a tremendous inspiration. I'm glad our paths have crossed. All right. Francis Frano McGrath. Again, it's Reframe Dry Spot, not reframedryspot.com, at Reframe Dry Spot on Instagram. And the events this Friday, another paint and sip, right? Friday at 6 or it's Saturday?
Saturday's the paint and sip. Friday is singles night.
This Friday, the first ever singles night. And then Saturday at 6 is the paint and sip.
Yep.
What time is singles night on Friday?
I think we're going to start at 6. I think we're just consistency. We're 6 o'clock events.
And if people want to reach out and ask you questions, you want to just go to the website, right?
Or DM me. I'm on that Instagram account all day, which I shouldn't be, but, I check it more than I should. So
keep up the great work and make sure you stock up on more athletic brewing
absolutely.
company, non-alcoholic.
I got their new St. Patrick's Day ones. The Irish ones are really
oh
good.
My God.
Oh yeah.
All right, yeah. Art and I will be over definitely. Matt, we'll pick some up for you too. All right, thank you to Francis McGrath from Reframe, a dry spot, 24 North Street, Willimantic. That'll do it for episode 99 of Hometown Threads. Got to get the confetti next week, right, Matt?
Yeah.
Big thanks to Liberty Bank, Be Community Kind, J. Matt Rupar. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And the words of the great Roddy McCumber.
Bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice. Or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.